everybody. This is Jeff Veale, the business guru, coming to you late at night from the Philippines, 9:30 at night. And my guest is lucky; he's probably different time zone for him. But I'm getting hungry. I've got to have dinner next. But guys, if you want to be on 15 Minutes of Fame, where we put you across all these different platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, your Facebook group, your Facebook business page, and of course YouTube with all your social media links, we make you famous, put you in front of thousands of people around the world. You get to tell your story. And every man and woman's got a story, just like our next guest. We've had such a good time together. He's been telling me his story for the last 20 minutes. It's a really interesting story. We could make a Netflix series out of it. But it's my great pleasure to welcome to the stage Dan. Dan, my eyes are bad on the screen. Your last name is Dan, and family name?
𝐁𝐻𝐦𝐬𝐢𝐧𝐿.
There you go, guys. He said it so nicely. He's had plenty of practice. But if you want to talk to Dan, he's got an amazing story about health. He knows a lot about health and wellness, guys. And I'm 77. It's so darn important, guys. Health is wealth. It really is. So reach out to Dan. Have a cup of coffee. Costs you absolutely nothing to reach out and have a chat. Share the journey. Learn from each other. And hey, he might be able to teach you something you don't know that may even save your life. Back to the story. Here we go, Dan. Tell us about your journey and what inspired you to pursue this current career path of yours. Where did it all begin?
Let's see. Well, it all began essentially the awakening process into my health and healing journey began when I was 29 and I was really sick, and I found myself in the office of an oncologist out of Boston, being there to learn about my prognosis and diagnosis, essentially living the American dream.
I love it.
A good education, get married, start saving for retirement, get a house. So I'm checking all the boxes off, but I'm unhappy. And I'm in that office, and the oncologist had one question for me. No words out of his mouth, but we're shaking hands. And he said, Dan, how did such a young man such as yourself get into the business of cancer? Now, you're a business guru, and people should not be so surprised that cancer in itself and all its tributaries is $1 trillion business every year.
Absolutely.
And we know that every single business wants two things: to survive and grow.
Yeah.
In order to survive and grow, we need loyal and repeat customers and new customers.
Correct.
So cancer is no different from that thing. So I actually knew that when he asked me that question, I turned it inward. And that was the moment of my awakening into, wow, how did I get into the business of cancer? What were the things I was doing? And in a really general sense, without extending the time here, I was living an ignorant and arrogant life. I was ignorant of the things I was doing that was harming myself or others. I didn't know. I just didn't know. And then there were definitely things I was doing that were harmful to me or others, and I still did it. I knew it was not right, and I still did it. So that meant in that moment, I had the ability or the opportunity to awaken into the things that I was doing, raise my awareness to the things that I was doing or not doing that could be beneficial to me. And secondly, I could actually live more in integrity with doing right, knowing what's right and doing what's right for my health and well-being. Yeah. Who knew that it was going to take me 6 years of chemo, radiation, bone marrow transplant, surgery, divorce, suicide. And it wasn't until I finally let go of medicine, because that's all I knew what to do.
Yeah.
And I actually trusted in my own internal awareness and my own internal knowing.
In your gut and your research.
In my instincts and in my gut and my central core.
Yeah.
And in the summer of 2000, I applied a philosophy of life, love, and health. Beautiful. Which included, you got to change your nutritional ways and you got to change your movement. You have to nourish yourself and you have to exercise. You have to move your body. You have to move your.
Definitely.
You have to move your emotions. You got to move your tears. You got to move your passion, your creativity. So I started to really learn that the important thing was, how do I love myself back to health and well-being, which was, how do I love the person that I want to be and become in this world?
Yep.
So what do I need to learn and what do I need to do in order to actually achieve that? So in 5 months, I started to apply that philosophy of life and love, essentially coming down to two practical things. All chronic degenerative disease has two things. One You have a fear of germs. You believe that germs are here to kill you and harm you when it's the opposite. They actually are symbiotic friends, and they're here to help and heal us. And then saturated animal fat has become a phobia, and cholesterol. And I started to realize that those two things combined that people are afraid of contribute to chronic degenerative disease as part of the human experience. So I just started to play with the germs, and I started to actually eat more saturated animal fat. And here we are today, 25 years later. I wound up getting rid of all the tumors in 5 months at that time. So 2000, that summer, in the fall, my oncologist cleared me of cancer and said, well, when you get cancer, give me a call, because it's a business. They didn't know what to do. They just essentially train wrecked my physiology with chemotherapy and all that, but they had no rehabilitation for it.
Interesting.
So I actually had to go on an odyssey to say, hey, first of all, spiritually, what was it in me that created this health and healing miracle? And then secondly, how do I rebuild, restore, and rejuvenate a human body, right? Yep. And that's the work that I try to do with people, that I say, if you really want to get your life turned around, you got to live more in accordance with nature's laws, yep, and your true authentic nature. That means you got to live more primal, and you got to love the spiritual essence. You got to come back to God, if you want to use that language, yep, right? And so here we are today having a conversation about it, so I could actually inspire, educate, and perhaps help someone along the way.
It's been the most challenging aspect of your work, Dan. How have you overcome that?
Well, I think the most challenging is written in by Joseph Campbell's work on the hero's journey, right? Which is, once you go into, you make the call, you go into the dark night of the soul, so to speak, and you meet your dragon. Once you meet the dragon and you defeat the dragon, you come back to society. He calls that, you receive the gifts, and then you receive the boon, and you bring that back to the village, so to speak. Coming down from the mountain, you bring it back to the village to inspire and educate and hopefully help someone. So he said that all along that pathway is the challenge is you got to make the call. The challenge is you got to actually deal with your demons and defeat your demons. And then the next and most powerful challenge is, how do you share that with society that now might not be ready to hear the message? So I'm on this call because I believe that my greatest struggle is now, how do I meet people on the way that I can help? Like, how do I let people know that I'm visible and I exist, and that what I have to share has purpose and meaning that will help my vision of eradicating chronic degenerative disease as part of the human experience?
Tell me, what's been the most important moment in your career that changed your direction and made you decide to go on this odyssey?
That powerful question. How did you get into the business of cancer?
Yeah.
Because that question, I was an engineer, civil engineer, living out the American dream.
Yes.
And
getting ready to buy the house, buy the car. Yeah, the whole
yeah, save for retirement. And then all of a sudden I get that in I get that into my life experience, and it was like, wait, you got to think about your whole life in a different way. So now, yeah, that was not my career. And my career, to be honest, Jeff, is how do I answer that question? Dan, how did you get into the business of cancer? It became my life syllabus. And I entered the University of Life, and I believe I have some answers to your cancer.
Yeah, well, you've done a lot of research on it, and you've practiced what you preach. Tell me, in your opinion, what are the key qualities and skills that have helped you contribute to your success and spread the message?
Curiosity is probably very high on the list. Perception.
Sure.
Your capacity to be curious about questioning everything.
Absolutely. Don't take it.
I think that's probably the
jab, right? We spoke about the jab earlier. You know,
right.
Most people took the jab without question.
Without question.
Look at the results now, friends.
Right. And so I think having the ability to have an open mind and an open heart, which is what I call a curiosity mind, open-hearted, open-minded, to actually expand and say, wait a minute, you know, I think there's a better way or a different way. Imagination, like, what's my imagination of how life could be lived?
Yep.
Is another skill or tool that you could use in your toolbox. But everything goes without saying is having the persistence, the determination, the grit, the fortitude to actually question things.
Speaking of questioning things, Dan and I had a chat for about a good chat for like old friends for about 20 minutes. And one of the things we talked about was all the medicines they give you guys when you got some sort of problem. Oh, take a pill here, take a pill, and they get rich off those pills, guys. So the pills cost 10 cents. They sell them to you for $10. But anyway, what I want you to do, guys, any pills you've got, go to your medicine cabinet, put all the pills on the table, go to ChatGPT, put the name of the pill in, ask ChatGPT, what's it for, and tell me the pros and cons. Sometimes a headache tablet will say, well, the cons are you'll probably get rid of your headache. Sorry, that's the pros. The cons are, oh, you may get stomach ulcers, you might have thinning blood, you know, you might get diarrhea, and sometimes, guys, the tablets are worse than the problem. So, you know, be like Dan, be curious, ask questions, and of course, use common sense. Like me, I just broke my shoulder, guys. I looked up the painkillers, and the side effects were horrible. So I'm just putting up with the pain. It's not, you know, it's not good, but it ain't life-threatening or making me scream. So I'm putting up with the pain. And I will have the painkillers in moderation, because all they do, think about it, all they do is mask the problem. Your body's trying to tell you something, but the pain being there is telling you it's not fixed yet. Yeah? So common sense, guys. Then, how do you stay motivated and continue to innovate in your field like you do? What's the secret there?
I gotta lead by example.
Lovely.
I mean, I don't think there's any other way that motivates me. Is I have to be a better human being today, you know, better at being human today than yesterday. So I have to lead by example. And that's the only way. And that's a challenge in and of itself. If you think of that, to be able to keep up with the actual mundane efforts in my own nutrition, my own movement therapy, and my own curiosity, that's number one. Lead yourself first, so that I could develop the strength for two, and I could be a guide to someone else that is actually looking to championship their own life and become victorious.
And tell us about a recent project or achievement that you're particularly proud of. What have you done recently?
The Guillain-Barré is probably one of the most remarkable things about this story. Now, yeah, Guillain-Barré, also pronounced like Guillain-Barré, but it's a French pronunciation.
Yep.
Guillain-Barré is a autoimmune, an acute autoimmune attack on your nervous system that happens overnight. It actually, one day I was fine. The next morning I couldn't walk.
So
and
it paralyzed you in effect.
It paralyzed my legs, and then it started attacking my arms. So, and then it starts to move into the central core of you. So you start to affect your bowel, bladder, appetite. But some people can go fully paralyzed, including their eyelashes, or eyelids. They can't even blink. They can't swallow. They can't do anything. Literally, the entire body goes.
Do we have any knowledge or any ideas of what might bring this on?
Well, vaccines.
Wow, yeah.
The vaccines. That's high on the list. Is it often follows a vaccine, and then secondly is sometimes it follows a virus or a bacterial infection. Is what they're saying. They couldn't find anything that it happened for me, so I just had to ride that out. But I see things differently, Jeff, in my life. So I saw it as a major healing taking place in my life, rather than some illness occurring. So I went into it differently. Yeah, and so I started to actively engage in my particular life work, which is nutrition and movement, and how do I help my cells, and how do I help the self, SELF, how do I help the self heal? And this happened in 2024, August of 2024.
So recent.
Yeah, it was recent. So September, I went into the hospital, and they helped with calming the immune system.
Yes.
For 4 days, and then I got out, and then I had physical therapy for 6 sessions.
Is that to get the movement back in your body, or?
I had to learn how to walk.
Wow.
I didn't know how to walk.
Wow.
Yeah, but I know physical therapy. I know how to heal the body, so I could do a lot of stuff on my own. So I saw them twice a week for about 6.5 weeks, 7 weeks.
Yep.
I got discharged, and then by November of 2024, I was neurologically cleared. And I basically was 9 months ahead of schedule.
Fantastic. Yeah, well, that's your determination kicking in. What advice would you give someone who wants to be in your footsteps and get in the health and wellness space and pretty much educate people and help people and make them more aware?
Well, I think the encouragement part is don't wait till it's life or death.
Yeah, right.
That's first. I mean, that's the first thing. Let's try to shift it into a preventative process.
Yes.
And the other aspect of don't follow in my footsteps. Like why I did it is what you and I are having a conversation. Why I did it is because I love life for life itself, and I want to actually have a meaningful contribution to the eradication of chronic degenerative disease. I have value that I want to add to humanity at large. But how I did it is going to be different than how you do it, Jeff, or how someone else does it. So don't necessarily follow in my steps.
Yep.
You could take some of my suggestions and advice to put into your own experiment and exploration, but realize that I don't have the answer necessarily to your cancer in any specific way, or your heart disease or this. Generally speaking, always find a mentor to keep you objective. Do not think you're going to go this alone. That's a personal wound right there if you think you can do it on your own. The next part is start to reach out to a community of people that have already successfully navigated what you've navigated or looking to navigate. And then really come back to it's going to take time, and it is a process, not a goal. So when I set out to heal from cancer, I had to let go of healing cancer because cancer wasn't the problem. It's a symptom. For example, if someone wants to lose weight and they focus on weight loss, they wind up getting frustrated. Why? Because you want to focus on getting healthier and the weight loss will go by its side. If you have cancer right now or diagnosed with cancer, all you have to do is think about getting healthier, and then the environment for cancer to be thriving in will start to dissipate, and therefore it'll weaken its so-called existence in your experience of life.
What are your goals and aspirations for the future?
Well, if I had I do have an aspiration for sure, is to author my first book.
Leave a legacy, be one.
Yeah. It's to author the first book to help people, to get it out of my chest and out of my heart, so that people have something that they can actually see the essentially the thought process that I was using and the frameworks that I was engaging in, like the framework of nutrition and movement. It always comes back to that masculine, feminine. It comes back to mother, father. It comes back to yin and yang, et cetera, et cetera. So
everybody awesome. I'd call it the miracle man.
The miracle man.
Finally, the truth.
Well, it's certainly a piece of truth, and the truth is you got to live. The truth is, for your listeners, is you have to learn to live more in accordance with nature's laws and your true authentic nature.
Yes.
And what does that actually mean? It's really just, nature is what we are. So therefore you want to get back to nature.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we did when we were cavemen. We used to move more and eat plants and nuts and all that sort of stuff. But we progress in many ways, but some of the old ways, nothing wrong with them, and it's meant to be. It's up to me. Remember that, guys. Tell me, looking ahead, Dan, how can our listeners and people watching this wonderful podcast, how can they reach out to you and get more information and have a chat to you? What's the best way?
Well, first of all, go to the website, danheggeritch.com. That's the best way. You can see my backstory in more detail.
Love it.
You can actually assess whether you're ready to actually jump into the fire of transformation.
Sure.
And otherwise, my email is danheggeritch@gmail.com. And on my website, there's all the links to my social media outposts and outlets.
LinkedIn, of course.
LinkedIn, Facebook. I have a Facebook business page. I have a Facebook social page. I have a YouTube channel.
And soon
I'm working
group page, right?
Well, you've inspired me to consider that in figure a way to do that. I'm thinking maybe metabolic rehab.
Yeah, awesome.
Metabolic rehab might be something, but
perhaps your own podcast. Maybe Dan, find them, interview cancer victims and people with vaccines, etc. Interview people who've got a story to tell you about the medical profession. I can tell you.
That's a great thing. I have a podcast called "Do the Cure."
Yeah, lovely.
And I uphold this belief that the cure exists if you persist.
I broke my shoulder, and at midnight, my whole arm was getting black, and there was blood pools under the skin. All this, and I looked up online. It said, "This is like a life-threatening situation. It could go to your heart." So of course I thought, okay, being a typical male, I better go to the doctor. So I woke my partner up at 1 o'clock in the morning, and off we went. A 7-hour hospital visit. All they gave me was a new sling. I already went there with a sling. They said, "Oh, you need a new one." The one I had was a day old. They gave me a new sling. They gave me a little bag with 6 pieces of ice and put it on top of my shoulder, and the injury was my actual arm. I'm thinking, what are you guys doing? And then they took 3 x-rays. They wanted an x-ray of my elbow. And I'm trying to say, nothing wrong. I didn't fall on my elbow. I fell on my bloody shoulder. Like, oh no, and then each x-ray was quite expensive. Then when we wanted the x-rays, oh no, you can't have those for another 24 hours, and you've got to pay to have them. And hang on, I've just paid to have the bloody thing done. Now you want me to pay to get a copy of it? It's my x-ray, my body, all this stuff. So guys, the medical profession is a lot to be. And then they gave me one and one only painkiller, and then I come away. No, go home and I looked up Google. Google said, put ice on it every 3 or 4 hours and do this and do that and do that. They told me nothing. So guys, the medical profession's got a lot to answer for. And Dr. Google, I'm not saying swear by Dr. Google, but look to Dr. Google for advice. And then make up.
Yeah, it's suggestions, but we do have, I truly believe we do have answers, inside that we can explore, and
common sense is a big one, right?
It is common sense, but I think it goes beyond that a little bit more, beyond the mind. In other words, I always say,
listen to your body.
Yeah. And what I've said before is anything is possible in life. Sure. Anything is possible. We've all proven that in our own special way. The unfortunate thing, there's no guarantee. That's what balances that out. So are you living according to anything is possible, which is an empowering process? But to really go and access that, you have to go beyond the mind of your current conditioned thought process. And then, but some people just want to live that I'm not going to do it unless you can guarantee, I'm not going to do your thing unless you can guarantee my cancer is going to go away. It's like, that's not how you can live.
I guarantee none of that will happen if you don't take action. Tell me, about to wrap it up now, but I've got a special question for you. What's a fun fact about you, apart from your cancer stories? What's a fun fact about yourself that people don't know?
Well, that's interesting. Boy, my mind's going like flipping through all kinds of little events. I would say one cool thing. No, one cool thing is I was blessed with the opportunity to perform live on stage in Las Vegas with the Berkshire Batteria, a band that performs rhythms of Brazil and traditional samba.
How'd that come about? You knew someone? What happened?
Yes, it was just that the leader of the band got a call and said, "Hey, can you perform a workshop and perform on stage for a company that wanted like a what do you want to call it? Like a team building thing or something like that. 2,000 people.
Wow.
In one of the, I think it was I forget the name of the actual club, but it was one of the biggest clubs in Vegas.
Yeah, probably the Mirage or something in those days.
It was pretty recent, like it was less than 7 years ago. Yeah. I want to say it was the Cosmopolitan, but that doesn't sound right. It doesn't ring right. But we were treated like rock stars for a day.
If you've never been there, guys, get yourself there. It's like an adult playground. It's got everything.
Yeah, well,
I've been there. I was a star because I went there when Crocodile Dundee was at his peak, and being an Aussie meant I had to swat them away like flies. You know, it was unbelievable. All right, my friend, I'm going to wrap it up now. So, guys, if you want your 15 minutes of fame, just like our friend Dan is at, reach out. Every man and woman's got a story, and we'd love to hear your story. And once again, Dan, I'd like to thank you for being an awesome guest on the show today. It was a great story, my friend.
Oh, you're welcome, Jeff. Thank you for having me.
No, most welcome.